Hello, my friends. This is Wakeangel2001 coming at you with something a little bit different this time. I do my toy reviews here, and then I mostly talk about Sonic and custom toys other times. But after doing that last review of Animated Bumblebee from the Transformers Legacy line, it made me want to do a little speculative video, a top 10 as you were, of the figures that I want to see in the Legacy line. The baseline rules of this are, we're not really doing G1 characters. We're doing characters as they appeared in, the Transformers spin-off media, like the cartoons, video games, other stuff that's not G1 related. Because we all know that anything that's in the G1 cycle, even really obscure stuff, is pretty much guaranteed to get toys eventually. But, there's just other things, stuff in the cartoons that we all have grown up with that, they either aren't mainstream enough or, even in their time when they did get toys, they weren't very good. So let's not eat up too much time here. Let's start with number 10, Blades from Rescue Bots. This all started with, the new wave has Chase in it, which is, officially the first Rescue Bots character that actually is appearing in the main line. And he looks pretty damn cool. I always wonder, could you really make a Chase without people just thinking that he's a knockoff Prowl? And he does a really good job of having his own identity. Way to go. And I do believe that there was at least one character from Rescue Bots that made an appearance in the Araed cartoon. He was pretty good in that cameo, but I forget which one he was. I'm not going to really dig into that because we're talking about Helicopter Boy here. Now, I haven't watched the entirety of the Rescue Bots TV series, but I did watch the first season. And in it, Blades was kind of my favorite character. He's sort of the neurotic one. And on top of that, there just aren't that many helicopter Transformers in the main line, Helicopters are kind of rare, so I want to see him more than any other. It also has to do with the fact that his first toy didn't really look like him. Why doesn't this look like the character from the cartoon? You don't have to worry about posability or articulation or anything. All you have to do is worry about going from helicopter to robot and vaguely resembling the character from the show. Now, the Rescue Bots Academy toy of him apparently looks significantly more like the show model, but, it's still a Rescue Bots Academy toy, which means it's a one-step changer with no real articulation. So yeah, if we're going to see another Rescue Bots character get a proper action figure, I really want it to be this guy first. Number 9 is Transformers Prime Knockout. Yeah, I really did love pretty much the entire Transformers Prime cast, the human characters, the robot characters, even the minions in that show were all great. There really isn't anything I dislike about that show, but I really did like Knockout's design. He's just this flamboyant guy who's really proud of how elegant his paint job is, and he gets really irritated if anything threatens it. I remember one time he lost a door panel, and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the episode. Also, this guy was the one Decepticon that actually took time to learn about human culture somewhat. When the zombie outbreak happened on board the ship, he started shouting, "Shoot the head! I have seen human horror movies at drive-thrus!" Which, that is just so him. That is so uniquely him. Unfortunately, he's never really had a good toy. The original toy that came out when the cartoon was on doesn't really look that much like him. It's I see what they were trying to do, especially with the fenders around the collar, but it really doesn't pull it off very well. And they made an Red toy so that they wouldn't have to worry about a transformation and just try to make it look as accurate as possible. But, Red sucks, and it kind of failed at its job. And don't get me started on this thing. I know technically speaking, this is supposed to be the Prime Knockout in the Generations line, but no, this thing sucks and I hate it, and I want a redo. Give me a better version of Prime Knockout. I want the one with the collar and that svelte physique and that really the paint job on this one is more important than any other characters. He needs to have his brilliant reds. He needs to have his flame deco. Like, it was the thing he was obsessed about in the show, and it should be the primary feature of his toy. So, yeah, like, I'm all in this for a better version of Knockout. Like, give me a proper, good Prime Knockout that looks as much like the actual show model as you can do. Number 8 is Cybertron Thunderblast. Now, I didn't really watch the Transformers Cybertron show. In fact, I was really kind of lukewarm on the entire Unicron trilogy, so it's actually one of the Transformers properties I'm least familiar with. But being a Transformers fan, like, some of the memes and popular characters just kind of get to you through cultural osmosis. And Thunderblast is, like, she's kind of a whole big thing, particularly because, like, she's like, I don't know, like, would you call her a gold digger? She just kind of like sycophantically sticks to whoever's the most powerful. Kind of like that idea. She kind of feels like a little piece of Starscream's personality, but in a purple and gold boat transformer. And that's part of the reason why I really want this. Like, again, just like how there aren't that many Transformers helicopters, there are even fewer Transformers boats. And Thunderblast is one of the few iconic boat characters. Of course, if we're going to get a toy of her, like, that's the thing, I'm afraid they might reshell that crappy, Kingdom RC. Like, they'll modify RC's body a little bit to look more like Thunderblast, give it a new head, and then swap out the car for a boat, you know, because in that Transformer, like, the robot and the vehicle have zero interaction with each other. The vehicle just kind of forms a shell that the robot curls up inside of, which is distressingly similar to Thunderblast's original toy. But I really don't want a reproduction of the original toy. I want an evolution of this character, which is probably why it's going to be one of the least likely, because, like, if you're going to be recreating these characters from the shows, usually you want to try and capture their look from the show, and if it's a flawed look, they'll reproduce the flaws. Well, first of all, if you're going to do that, I want some underboob. Like she's up there with Black Arachnia as one of the few Transformers characters that, like, has visible cleavage. And under cleavage is sexier than regular cleavage. So, yeah, I want to see that in her toy. In fact, give her, make sure she has ab articulation so you can arch her back and really show that off. But really, like, we've done other boat Transformers before. Like, some of them fairly recently after Cybertron, which, you know, look better. Like, they actually have more interaction between their vehicle mode and robot mode. Like, I want this thing to be more like a sea spray than anything else. Like, actually use pieces of the boat to make the robot. Like, don't just hide it all on her back as shell. Like, maybe leave a couple of flaps back there as an homage, but definitely put a lot more thought into how the boat turns into a robot. Like, I really would like to see that. So, yeah, I want a new Thunderblast, but I don't want a reproduction of the original toy. I want a better version of her. I want a redesign, which actually kind of makes this one of the least likely things I'd be happy to see, but, you know, she's up there. Number 7 is Drift, specifically IDW Drift. I love this design of Drift. He is a very Japanese mecha-inspired robot. Like, if you took a Gundam and made him into a Transformer, that's kind of what Drift would be like. It's a really cool design, plus his whole thing with the 3 swords is just kind of its own gimmick, which is hilarious and awesome, and I always loved it. And his original toy was really fantastic. Like, it is one of the best toys from that particular era. Although it does have some flaws, it mostly holds up to this day. Unfortunately, Drift has kind of been done dirty in other representations. Like, in the movie franchise, they just kind of fell back on the robot samurai thing, and like, forget about the blue coloring. Like, he doesn't even look like Drift. He doesn't even look like a Transformer anymore. He literally just looks like a samurai armor that just so happens to turn into a car and helicopter. Like that is just not the way that Drift looks. When he appeared in the Transformers RID cartoon, they did make him look more like a Transformer, I'll give him that, but he still really doubles down on that samurai aesthetic. So, like, he still doesn't look like the original comic book depiction. Now, granted, when they made the repaints of his toy with the white and red, like the IDW comic version, that did look pretty good, but that's not, like, IDW Drift. That's not what he really looks like. And I know he was kind of in Cyberverse, where they did a reverse of his story. Instead of being a former Decepticon turned Autobot, they had him be an Autobot who turned traitor and was secretly working for the Decepticons the whole time. I kind of didn't like that. Yeah, I get that you're doing subversion, but you're also assassinating a character. Like, I don't want your subversion to be at the cost of character assassination. So that was one thing from Cyberverse that I really didn't like. But yeah, like, I really want the original Gundam-esque, robot swordsman thing to come back. Like, make this version of Drift again. I really do like this one. Like, seriously. Like, it's seriously one of my top 5 favorite toys from that time. I even went out of my way to get that thing, like, on a 4chan trade thread, I believe I did. Like, wow. I put a lot of trust in some random stranger from 4chan, now that I think about it. Number 6 is Slipstream, specifically Animated Slipstream. Yes, it's, can you believe that there still has not been a proper Slipstream toy in any line? Not for the cartoons, not for the main line. Not only has she never had a depiction from her original animated form, which is where the character premiered, but the only proper Generations style figure of her that we have is a Takara exclusive Windblade remold. Now, this is a legitimate remold. It's not just a repaint. It has new parts. It has a new chest piece. It has a new head. It has new weapon parts made. And you know, it's designed to be a Slipstream figure, and it never had an American release. It was Takara exclusive. I had to import this figure. And, you know, like, it's not the animated version of her. It's a Windblade repaint, and they wrote in a whole little story in those little Legends comics about why she looks like this. And Slipstream has been in other cartoons. She was in Cyberverse, but she didn't get a proper toy. Like, the only Slipstream toy that there really is, like, is this one, which is actually kind of a gimmick toy. It has that flip transformation thing, and, like, not only is the articulation in the arms really limited, but she doesn't have any articulation in the legs at all. Her legs are all one solid piece. There's no knees or anything. So, like, this is a gimmick toy. This isn't a proper deluxe or even a warrior. So, yeah, like, we have yet to get a proper Slipstream in anything. Now, the thing is, like, they're making a new Windblade toy, and I hate to say, like, just take a Windblade and remold her into another Slipstream, but quite frankly, like, I think that Windblade would actually make a better looking Slipstream than the original version of Windblade did. Especially if they want to go the extra mile and make, like, different wings to try and capture the look of the animated jet mode. I would really like if they made an animated Slipstream. Like, not just any Slipstream, specifically the original animated depiction. I mean, Animated Bumblebee and Animated Optimus came out so well. Like, I would really like to see Slipstream get this proper treatment. Number 5 is the Transformers Prime Vehicon. Remember when I did my review of Shadow Striker and how I was so disappointed that they decided to use a mold that homaged the original RID version instead of, like, the proper Cyberverse look? That's because it would have been so easy to remold that into this. The Transformers Prime Vehicon is one of the coolest looking army builders that we've ever had in Transformers canon. And since they've recently released that Troop Builder multi-pack, which included like the G2 the G2 Decepticons and the Auto Trooper and stuff like that. Like how could they not have a Vehicon in there? Like, Vehicons are army builders from 2 different continuities. Technically G1 continuity with Beast Machines, but also Transformers Prime, one of the most well-regarded cartoons ever made in the franchise. And this thing just looks so cool. I mean, are they just afraid that they won't be able to top the original toy? Because, well, quite frankly, it is really impressive the way they were able to make that boxy car into this robot without a large piece of backpack kibble. And like a shell former that has no backpack is really, really impressive. But there is so much more reason to have a Vehicon now, especially because later on in the fiction, like we have repaints. In the Araed cartoon, we still had some Vehicons, and they were in different colors. Like, can you imagine the backstories of these guys? Like, they're probably all constructed cold, like, they have bodies built for purpose, imbued with rudimentary sparks, given indoctrination programming so that they're basically like stormtroopers. But then, the war is over, and what do? They don't know anything else about being soldiers. They have to learn to be individuals, and, they take on unique color schemes to try and evolve personalities for themselves. Like, I kind of want to see the story of a Vehicon. Just give me an episode of a series that follows the life and times of a Vehicon adjusting to there no longer being a war to fight. Like, that's fascinating to me. But yes, this is one of my favorite army builder robots, and I would absolutely love to see one of these things again. So yes, the Transformers Prime version of the Vehicon, all of that, gimme. Number 4 is Animated Blur. Okay, it took a lot of discipline for me to not just make this entirely animated, because just remake all the animated characters. Like, just assume that I want that. All of the animated. I love animated. But Blur, he has such an awesome design. I mean, look at him. So lanky, but so strong looking. He looks like he's moving fast, even when he's standing still. His original toy was actually really cool. The only flaw being that, he had a piece of his hood that part formed off to become an impractically large weapon. But aside from that, everything about it is just so cool. I mean, look at it. It kind of looks like the Mach 5 from Speed Racer in Tron. It is such a cool looking car mode, and that robot mode with all of its points and spikes and longness, like, that's a really, really cool design. Plus I know there's they had some kind of Transector Cheetor that was supposed to be the sequel to Beast Machines, but they never made it, and they're kind of homaging it with the wheel ankles. So, you have repaint potential there if you want to homage some more obscure Transformers lore. But holy crap, I just love how cool this design is. It's really, really cool. And you can even get repaints out of it if you want to do crossovers. I mean, can we do a Transformers X Speed Racer thing? I mean, it can't. That's no more random than Transformers X Top Gun, right? So, yeah, let's get Blur in here. I mean, I know we have plenty of G1 Blur toys, but this is Animated Blur. We gotta have this version. Number 3 is another animated character, Lugnut. I mean, come on, Lugnut is awesome. He's just this huge hulking guy with a fanatical devotion to Megatron that rivals Inferno from Beast Wars. Plus, he just has this really cool bomber alt mode, that, he's huge. That, I'm not even sure if a Voyager would do him proper justice. I might actually spring to get a leader class version of this toy, cause he's supposed to be a properly big hulking guy. His original animated toy was really cool looking, but it felt really undersized. Plus, it had some parts forming where he had to take the tail off to make a giant weapon out of it, which I never really like. But they actually did make a Generations version of Lugnut, which was really cool. But, that's it's out of the proper style. So, now that they want to reproduce the art style as much as possible, in addition to giving it engineering of a modern, mainline toy, yes, do that. Give it the engineering of that toy, but, make it look like the original. That would be fantastic. Plus, it's Lugnut. He just looks so cool. I mean, he has the punch of kill everything attack. How can you not love that? Number 2 has to be Araed. I cannot think of another character who was done dirty by their toy more than her. In the show, Araed was one of the best villains. She was menacing, she was sadistic, and of named characters, she had probably one of the higher kill counts. Like, she killed RC's original partner Tailgate, and she even straight up murdered freaking Breakdown. Like, I never expected Breakdown to be killed off in a series like that, but they did it, and she was the one who did. So, like, you know, that's kind of hardcore. And then, like, the way her story arc ended with her becoming the vampire queen of the Insecticons, that's such an epic way to end such a creepy character. And her toy, like, her deluxe is one of the worst toys that came out of the Transformers franchise in that decade. In fact, I think it might be the worst Transformer that's been made since then. Like, anything, like, maybe you could make some argument that some of the gimmick toys are worse, but anything that pretended to be mainline figures, out of all of them, I don't think any of them have been as bad as Arachnid's original deluxe. This thing was awful. It was so awful that the little Legion class figure that they made is actually 10 times better than it, which is really sad. I mean, there can be good Legion toys, but your Legion shouldn't be that much better than your deluxe. So yeah, Arachnid's been done dirty. She's never had a good toy, and she absolutely must have one. So yeah, justice for Araed. Give us a proper toy of her. My number one might be more controversial than most, and a lot of people might wonder why, but it's Anode. It's IDW Anode. Full disclosure, I don't know that much about this character personally. I know she has something of a complicated backstory, like she's one of the Transformers that actually chose their gender, and she kind of hallucinated her friends, like, I think, like something about them talking to a partner for a significant portion of the series, only for it to be revealed that they've been dead for quite some time. But really, there's one reason and one reason alone why I want this character. She's a biplane. She is an official Transformers character who turns into a biplane. And like a Cybertronian jet biplane. That's awesome. I love biplanes. They're my favorite type of vehicle ever. I love them so much. I have so many toys of biplanes around my house. I have a Lego biplane. I have the Lego Tornado biplane. I have the official Tornado. I have the Tornado that I made out of a Barney Stormin from Pixar's Planes movie. I have the 3D printed Tornado that I made. I think the Papercraft Tornado is still lying somewhere around this house. I have a lot of biplanes. And yes, I do have the one and only official biplane Transformer, which is, that guy from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, whose name is escaping my mind at the moment, because, you know, he's just kind of like a scrap iron scarecrow kind of looking thing. He's a biplane, he's a Transformer. I have him because he's a biplane Transformer, even though he isn't really represented in the fiction in any way. But this is a character that actually has been in the fiction. She's a real character. And no, I don't want this to be a Windblade repaint because, you know, she's a biplane. That's the most important part of this to me. Like, make us a biplane Transformer. You know, this is so important to me that I actually went onto Tinkercad and made a mock-up of a G1 style Transformer biplane. I mean, it's basically like an overgrown Micromaster because I'm not a professional engineer. I'm just some guy with some basic Tinkercad skills. But I'm making my own efforts to have a biplane Transformer by my own hand. Full disclosure, I was kind of inspired by TJ Omega when he was doing his Advent calendar unboxing last month, and one of the Advent calendars had a biplane Transformer, but it kind of sucked. So it made me think, I bet I could make a better biplane Transformer than that. So I decided to put my money where my mouth is. I'm working on it. We'll see if my mouth actually does make good money. But yeah. That is why Anode is my number one choice. She is a biplane Transformer, and I absolutely want to see her. So that is my top 10 list of characters from various Transformers cartoons, games, comics, and other stuff that I would like to see represented in the Legacy toy line. What are your choices? Let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you'd like to see more top 10 lists like this. Make some top 10 list suggestions, see if I can accommodate that, because it takes a surprisingly long time to make a top 10 list, and I don't want to go through this effort unless I know there's some interest in it. So this is Wakeangel2001 signing off.